Welcome in, I'm Archers, and in this video we're going to be going over Red Blue Lucy, a new leader from OP15 that is a 4-life leader, and it reads, when attacking on your opponent's attack, you may trash any number of event or stage cards from your hand. This leader gains 1,000 power during this battle for every card trashed, and then activate main once per turn. If you have activated an event with a base cost of 3 or more during this turn, draw 1 card. Now with this leader, it is vying to be one of the best leaders to come out of OP15. People are considering it to be best deck in the format, but I don't quite agree with that. I think Purple Enel probably has the cake there, but overall this leader is very strong, and it plays very similarly to a little bit of a combination of OP03 Red Ace and a little bit of OP04 Blue Black Rebecca, only in the sense that this deck is almost as close as you can get to a control deck like Rebecca was, and obviously they're both like Dressrosa leaders, so that's a nice little tip of the hat in that regard as well. But before we go over the deck list and into any gameplay, if you're new to the channel, please make sure to hit that sub and like button. It helps out the channel so much. Thank you all for the support. Additionally, if you'd like to talk about the One Piece card game outside of the YouTube comments, make sure to join the Discord community. The link for that is in the description below. Now with this leader, I've played quite a lot of games, probably close to 200 games overall, so I've gotten a good feel of what this leader is supposed to be doing, and I think that overall it's one of my favorite leaders to come out in quite some time. It's very much based around reducing the power of your opponent's characters and then using effects to either KO those or bottom deck them. So starting off, we're running 2 Koala. This is a 2K counter that says on play, if your leader has the type of Revolutionary Army, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 3,000 power for the turn. This comes in handy in a pinch if you need an additional way to reduce the power of your opponent's characters. Also, this can be a nice little body to swing into some of those little chump swingers that Purple Enel can establish pretty early on. Next up is a flex spot for this deck with the 6 cost 7,000 power Trafalgar Law from PRBO2. Now, there's a bunch of different cards you can put in place of this one, and this is one I'm currently testing out, and I've definitely liked it, but we'll go over some of the changes you can make to the deck at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. But with this character, it is a once per turn. If this character would be removed from the field by your opponent's effect, you may give this character minus 2,000 power during this turn instead, and then when attacking, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2,000 power during this turn. So once again, we're finding ways to reduce the power of your opponent's characters. This one does it naturally every turn by swinging. You don't have to spend any resources out of hand like some of the other cards in the deck. This one will continuously get you value over the course of a game, and on top of that, it protects itself from any kind of removal. So if your opponent does have a way to get rid of it, usually Gravity Blade is a clear answer here. This one will be able to protect itself for any kind of removal that it gets hit by. Next up, I'm running one of the 10 cost Goldie Roger. It's a rush unit that says when your opponent activates blocker, if you or your opponent have 0 life, you win the game. Now obviously the goal of the game is to get your opponent down to 0 and win from there, but with you being a 4-life leader and also not running a lot of counter power naturally, this card means that you will be going down to 0 quite easily. Obviously you can protect yourself with the amount of blockers that you have at your disposal, but oftentimes you will be finding yourself down to 0 and needing a way to get past blockers that your opponent has established, and this Roger is a great way to have an alternate win condition outside of what you're normally trying to do. Then we're running a playset of the new Viola 2K. This is an on play. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck and reveal up to 1 Dressrosa type card and add it to your hand, and then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. I would say that this deck is very much combo centric, as most Dressrosa decks are, and so having pieces to be able to find some very important pieces in your deck I think is very important. So having 4 of these is going to be probably the standard for most Lucy decks. Of course, with 2Ks, you don't have too many in the deck. I think I'm running 11 in total, and so this is one of the most playable 2Ks, of course, being able to find your pieces that you're going to need on curve. Another 2K that we have is the 1 cost Leo. Now, I'm going to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of this card because, in my opinion, the only card that this really protects when you're playing it down is going to be your 4 cost Cavendish. It says if your character with 7,000 base power or less would be removed from the field by your opponent's effect, you may place one of your characters at the bottom of its owner's deck instead. I'm running 2 of them just to be able to have an additional way to protect my Cavendish. We have other ways to protect it as well, but I think this Leo is probably one of the most expendable 2Ks, or switchable 2Ks rather. A lot of people would probably argue with me on that and say this is a very important 2K. I think most deck lists are running 4, but in my testing, I've found that it only really protects Cavendish, and if you can get 1 swing off with Cavendish, you're usually okay anyway. So the Leo, I've reduced it down to 2 as a result. Then I'm running 4 of the 1 cost Rebecca. It's a Dawn times 1. This character gains blocker, and then on play, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Dressrosa type card and add it to your hand, then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. So very similar to Viola. It is a very important searcher, but this one is better in the sense that it becomes a blocker with only 1 Dawn attached. So you find yourself often with having an additional Dawn being able to be used for whatever, so you're going to be able to use that to make this a blocker and stay rather healthy, or at least block a hit that you won't be able to counter out of naturally. Next up, we have a playset of Cavendish from OP10. This is one of the most important pieces in the deck. deck. Now, you're not running a lot of characters in general, but this is one you're going to want to try to find very early on and play it down on your 4 or 5 Dawn turn. It says when attacking once per turn, draw 2 cards and trash 1 from your hand. So being able to dig further into the deck is very important. And of course, when you're using this on the field, you're actually drawing an additional 1, obviously, with this effect. And so having a really big hand size to have multiple options over the course of a game is very important. So the longer you can keep this on the field, the more important, which obviously goes back to the argument, should we have more Leos in the deck? That's up for you to decide, but ultimately I found that Leo was less important in that case because it doesn't protect my biggest character, which we'll get to in a second. But another way to protect this Cavendish is also by playing the 4-cost Sabo. This is a 2k counter that says if one of your characters other than Sabo with an original cost of 7 or lower would be removed from the board by your opponent's effect, you may instead return this character to your hand. So this is also another way to protect the Cavendish. If you are going second and you establish the Sabo first, then you play out your 4-cost Cavendish on 6. Then if anything happens to that Cavendish, you can always just bounce this Sabo back to hand and your Cavendish survives for another turn. Now, unfortunately, this does not protect your 7-cost Sabo, which is the most important piece of the deck, and neither does Leo. So unfortunately, the 7-cost Sabo kind of just has to eat any removal, which we'll get into that right now. It's a 7-cost 9,000 power blocker from this set OP15. On play, if your leader has the Dressrosa type, activate up to 1 Dressrosa type event card from your hand. So the whole point here is you're playing this blocker out, and then you're going to be removing your opponent's board or interacting with your opponent's board through the effect of whatever event that you choose to play. Usually, you're going to be playing things that will interact with your board by either bottom decking or just KOing in general. And of course, if you can play an event that costs 3 or higher off of this, then you get to draw on top of that. As you can see, if you can stack these up and chain them and then play out multiple events and interact with your opponent's board while they're establishing characters, you're removing them and also establishing really big, tall blockers in that process, then overall, over the course of a game, you're going to be overwhelming your opponent with these 7-cost Sabo blockers. Some of the events that I've chosen to add into the deck are 2 of the 2-cost Fire Fist. It's a main, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 4,000 power during this turn. Then if your life is 2 cards or less, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a power of 0 or less. So of course, an additional way to power reduce your opponent's characters, but this coupled with like the 7-cost Fire Fist, which is a really strong event that says up to one of your leaders gains 3,000 power, and then give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 8,000 power until the end of your opponent's next turn. You can trash 2 cards from your hand and KO something that's 0 power or less. Coupled with this card is going to be really strong. So if you use this with the 7-cost Sabo, you're giving something minus 8,000 power. And then on top of that, if you play this 2-cost event, minus 4,000 power, if you're at 2 or less life, you can KO a 12,000 power character. So of course, if a 10-cost Blockbeard is played the previous turn, and then on your 9 Dawn turn, you go 7-cost Sabo, playing this Fire Fist, and then doing this Fire Fist, you can get rid of that blocker, of course. Red Rock is rotated out, so unfortunately, it's not going to be in this deck list, and we don't really have options or clean options in any other color than yellow to be able to just get rid of something outright. So this is kind of the closest option we have to get rid of some of those taller characters. Of course, we're also running a playset of the Just Watch Me Ace 4-cost event that says if you have 4 or more events in your trash, give this card in your hand minus 3 cost. So essentially, it's a 1-cost main or counter, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 3,000 power during this turn. Both of those are very relevant. Of course, using this in conjunction with like Fire Fist or using this in conjunction with another card, Bari Bari Pistol, you can get rid of a lot of things on the board. You can also use this defensively. The minus 3,000 power is for the turn. Of course, it's only for a character, but if you have a character that restands, then of course, when they restand, they're going to be shrunk down for that second hit as well. So this is a very important card to be able to stay alive in the late game, or use it rather mid to late to be able to use in conjunction with a removal piece. Of course, I talked about Fire Fist. In my opinion, I think this is the best event in the deck. If you are not using the Trash 2 and then KO is 0, that's fine. The opponent's character will be minus 8,000 power for the following turn, so it's actually a pretty solid tempo play to freeze a unit from swinging in if you need to at least have a little bit of breathing room. Then I'm running 3 of the 1-cost Follow Me and I Will Guide You events. It's a 1-cost event that just looks at the top 5. You reveal up to 1 Dressrosa type character card and add it to your hand, and then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. And it also has a trigger just to activate this card's main effect. Unfortunately, we're not running a lot of characters overall, so it's not nearly as effective as you might think it would be. It's a solid card overall to be able to dig for your 7-cost Sabo if you need to find it for only 1. But otherwise, it is one of those cards that is rather hit or miss with this deck because, of course, you can't grab events. It has to be a character, and it has to be a Dressrosa character. So sometimes it will whiff. Keep that in mind. Then I'm running a playset of the 4-cost event. It's a memento of him, and no one else can have it. There's a couple things here that it does. It has a main if your leader is Lucy. Choose 1. Draw 2 cards and trash 1 from your hand. Then play up to 1 Dressrosa type character card with a cost of 4 or less from your hand. or you can return up to 1 stage to its owner's hand. Most of the time, probably about like 85% of the time, maybe even more than that, probably like 99% of the time rather, you're going to be playing this to bring out a Cavendish. You can also use this to bring out a Sabo. The other part of this is you can return a stage to its owner's hand. So if you're going against Emu and they, for whatever reason, played out their 7-cost stage at the beginning of the game, and you have this in hand, you can bounce that back to them, and then they're going to lose so much momentum at that point. Nowadays, though, Emu, when they're going against Lucy, they've caught on, and they're playing the 1-cost stage instead to kind of bypass that. So you're not really using the second part of that effect too often. But if you did find your Emu opponent sleeping, then of course you can just bounce that 7-cost back to their hand, and then they've just lost pretty much the game at that point. Sometimes if you don't have a 4-cost character to play off of this, sometimes it's fine to just go ahead and use the draw 2 trash one, because of course with your leader effect you're drawing an additional one, so you're drawing 3 and trashing 1, which is always a good thing. So most of the time you will have a target to be able to play with this, but if you don't, it's fine to just play it outright as is. Then we're playing a playset of the 5-cost Bari pistol. It's a main, place up to one of your opponent's characters with a 6,000 power or less at the bottom of its owner's deck, and then the trigger also is activate main. Now when this first came out in OP10, I think a lot of people didn't even look at this card, thought it was a pretty bad card in general. A 5-cost, bottom deck is 6,000 power. Why is that even in blue? Like, why is power associated with blue and bottom decking a thing for this card? It makes sense now because, of course, you can couple this with things like Just Watch Me Ace or Fire Fist or Koala or even this Law to be able to bottom deck a whole slew of different things. So, of course, this card is actually incredibly strong in this deck because of the amount of power reduction you have, and you can couple it for cheap with this card. Then I'm running one of the Would You Let Me Eat the Flame Fruit 7-cost event. I'm only running one of this card because, to be quite honest, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I do really like the draw 2, and also the trigger being able to draw 2 is very strong, but I don't like the double attack for this leader per se, because I don't want to give my opponent too many resources. This is a great way to, of course, close the game out if you have been starving your opponent or been controlling their board and they're low on resources and you need to start going for game. I think this card is really good in those scenarios, or if you need to really apply pressure into possibly like Ace or something like that. But overall, I find myself wanting to not necessarily play this as much, but for now I only have it at 1 just to have in those scenarios where I really need it, or also to just be able to get a potential draw 2 trigger out of light. And then finally, I'm running 2 of the Dressrosa Kingdom 1-cost stage. On play, if your leader has the Dressrosa type, draw 1 card, so great cantrip, and then on your opponent's attack, you may rest the stage and trash 1 event or stage card from your hand. Up to one of your leader or character cards gains plus 2,000 power during this battle. The second part of that effect is very relevant, meaning that any of your events can be turned into a 2k once per turn. So naturally, they're going to be a 1k based off your leader ability, but your leader ability says that it is able to protect itself, not a character. If an opponent swings at a character, you can't pitch a card for 1k counter for that character. This will allow you to pitch a card, an event card from your hand for 2k counter for your leader or character. So it's an additional way to be able to protect a character if your opponent starts focusing the board, which sometimes they will. And that's where this deck can start to lose. If your opponent starts to target your characters when they're rested, then you might lose Then if you don't have counter in hand, it's hard to protect them. That's why we have a lot of blockers in the deck, but this card definitely helps in those scenarios. Like I mentioned, we'll go over some of the changes and different adaptations you can make to the deck at the end of the video. But in the meantime, I'm really happy with this list. As I mentioned, I've had a lot of games on it and I've found some decent success. Obviously, this is one that will change as the meta changes itself. And like the 6-cost Law is not locked in for me per se. I'm just testing it out and I found some decent success in the meantime. But overall, let's take this list into the sim and see how it does. All right, into Mihawk, I'm going to take first. I think our curve is fine going first or second, but we definitely want to take first away from them. Hand is looking really good because we have both a 5-cost Bari pistol and then a 7-cost Fire Fist. Obviously, we have a way to search out more Sabos with both the Rebecca and the 1-cost Follow Me, and we have a Sabo in hand. So overall, a very strong start from us. I think it's fine to go ahead and just get this Rebecca out on the field, see what we can grab. We'll grab a 7-cost Sabo. We'll try to find as many of these as possible. Now, keep in mind, this is a somewhat favored matchup for us because of the fact that if things turn sideways for Mihawk, we can always just power reduce and then swing into them. But also, they do run Electrical Luna, and a lot more of green decks are starting to slot that into overall their game plan. So we have to keep that in mind. Looking good so far. We have a Cavendish to be able to play on 5, so I think I'm going to go ahead and try to do that. Grabbing a Rebecca off the 1-cost is really nice here. I think I'll just grab... honestly, any of these are fine. Getting another Rebecca is not bad, but I think a 2k is probably the best thing we can do here because of the fact that we don't have any in hand as is. We'll swing 5, and then I'll typically, when I'm playing Lucy, I'll take the first 2 hits, and I'll go down to 2. Because by the time I go down to 2 life, I can start establishing my 7-cost Sabo and then freely block from there. We have 3 Sabos ready to go, so I think we're looking pretty good here. We have a couple of Rebeccas established, so this turn is not really going to be great for them. There's a Scratchman Apu to be able to rest my Rebecca. That's fine. I'm actually glad that I didn't put any Dawn underneath the Rebecca as is, because if they did that, then it was kind of just a waste of Dawn anyway. So using the Viola to get a further search is fine. Here, they're going to probably swing 8 at this point, and I'm just going to have to take it, and that's fine. Like I said, I don't mind taking the first couple of hits anyway. We'll use the Viola to swing into the Perona. Now, if they want to put a Dawn underneath this killer here, that's actually a pretty solid play. They choose not to. They swing 6 instead. I'm going to take it. I was going to take it whether it was a 5, whether it was a 6, or an 8, so it doesn't really matter. They don't know that, but I think they probably weren't considering that overall. Let's go ahead and swing the Viola and get the Perona off the field, because I want to at least get some of these characters off the field overall to make it a little bit harder for the killer to put a Dawn underneath and then get a draw on the block. We'll go ahead and swing 5 into lead here, and then what I'll do is play the Cavendish and then probably put a Dawn underneath the Rebecca just to be safe here. I don't think I'm going to play another Viola just because we don't want to get too greedy with our hand overall. Let's go ahead and put the Dawn underneath Rebecca, and then this next turn what we can do is swing Cavendish, see what we get off of that, and then from there make our decision. But I'm kind of leaning into the Sabo. Obviously Sabo is going to be our play regardless, but Sabo into Bari Pistol, obviously depending on what they throw down here. If they do throw down a Tashigi, oh my gosh, this is the perfect Bari Pistol target. We don't have to do anything with this. They're playing right into our hand, of course. And if they're going to be using the leader ability to rest like a Scratchman Apu, that's totally fine for us. What we can end up doing is playing the Sabo, Bari Pistol, the Carrot. Oh, they're just swinging the killer here. They're being aggressive with it. Very interesting. That's fine. I think that's, I mean, if they want to be aggressive to get this off the field, they already froze it. There's really no need for that, to be quite honest. Anyway, 6 into lead here. They might be wanting me to like swing into the killer and get it off the field. That might be an option for them. They're probably just going to rest this Scratchman Apu and then restand 3 Dawn and then probably swing really big. Maybe play an event, maybe leave some open for a counter event, but I think we're going to be fine regardless. 7 into lead here. Like I said, I'm just going to take this one. Goldie Roger's fine. They usually don't block her up too much. They do have nowadays more of the like 6-cost law, so maybe that's an option at least to keep in hand for later. Obviously, I'm not going to be dumping a 10-cost Roger at any point in time though. 5 into lead here. Let's just see what we can get out of their hand in general. I'm going to ignore the killer. I don't really care about wasting a swing on this blocker. Then we'll go ahead and swing 6 in the lead. Now I can dump the 4-cost event or the Law. I think Law is probably our better bet here because we can use the 4-cost event later on if we need to, or we can just use it for counter event. We'll go ahead and Bari Pistol, bye-bye to the Carrot, and then draw off of that effect. And now we have a 7-cost blocker to be able to protect the Cavendish if they want to swing into it. So we're looking pretty good here. This turn might be a 7-cost Shanks to be able to rest the Rebecca, I suppose, which might have been an argument to use the Rebecca the previous turn when we had Dawn underneath it. But if they don't have the 7-cost Shanks, then at least we can keep this Rebecca for the next turn. Down comes the 7-cost Shanks. As expected, they're seeing a pretty good curve here. They're going to rest the Shanks, of course, resting the Rebecca, and I would imagine they're probably just going to swing the Apu into the Rebecca. They might want to put a Dawn underneath the Apu, making it a clean 2 into 0. Either way, I'm not really going to protect this. My priority is making sure that the Cavendish stays alive. So if we can make sure that happens, then we will. Of course, yeah, there is, okay, so 2 into it, that's fine. 3 into 0, it's going to go down. And then if they want, they can put a Dawn underneath the killer. If they want, then they can swing 6 into lead. Maybe they want to leave Dawn open. Obviously, with Mihawk, they like to run counter events as well, so we'll see what they do with the remaining Dawn, but we're in a pretty good spot either way. We can just free block and be okay here. The following turn, what we're supposed to be doing, in my opinion, well, actually depends here. We have a couple of options. I need to see, after this hit, what we have in life. Okay, so we're just going to free block this one. We can't trash... we could trash cards to fill up our trash, because I don't think we have quite enough yet. Let's see what we get here. Maybe we can draw into something good as well, and then we can also use the Cavendish ability to pitch, because what we're trying to do, we have 2 in trash, and so in order for the Just Watch Me event to efficiently be used, we need 2 more in trash. And of course, this Cavendish that we drew into is kind of dead. If we want to establish another one, we can, but I don't really think it's going to be good for us. So what I'm going to do here is swing 5 into lead, and then I'm going to pitch the 4-cost event. I think that's probably going to be our best bet, just to fill up our trash. We want to make sure that we're able to fill up trash as best as we can, because we want to hit that 4 stipulation for the event so that we have a 1-cost minus 3,000 power. Then what I'm going to do is swing 5 into lead. There's also an option where I could swing 5 and then pitch a card, but we're trying to get 4 in trash, point being. What we're going to do instead is play the 1-cost Follow Me, just to dig a little bit further into the deck, and that also puts 4 events into trash. Then from there, we can do the Just Watch Me to minus 3,000 to the Shanks. And I'm going to try to bait out counter out of their hand by swinging my Sabo blocker into it. So let's go ahead and use this, see what we get. The only option we have is the 1-cost Rebecca, still a good option overall. Then we will re-stack these just in case we do get to around our deck. Sometimes it happens. We'll use that to minus 3, then we'll go ahead and swing 8 into 6. This one I imagine they'll probably block, so it's a good way to at least either get a 2 and a 1 out of hand or a blocker out of the way. Hopefully they just block so we can get the killer out of the way so we're not having to worry about them getting a card draw off of it later. And then here, what we can do is go 7-cost Sabo into a Bari Bari Pistol and then bottom deck the Shanks and then draw off the effect. Now this next turn, they're going to be on 10. They might be playing down the 10-cost Law and Beppo, which would rest the Sabo. There he is, as expected. They pump their leader up, then they're going to be resting probably the Apu here. They don't want to really rest the Law and Beppo because I could potentially swing into it. So I think that's probably, if they do the Apu having the Dawn open to be able to play counter events is going to hurt us a lot. We won't really be efficiently able to swing into them. So let's see what they do here, of course. There's the Luna. Oh, that hurts so much. Oh, gosh. Okay, so I think maybe what we can end up doing is this next turn, there's a world where we could use the Just Watch Me to go minus 3,000 and then play out the Sabo. Dressrosa Kingdom on life is actually pretty solid here. That's an additional way for us to at least stay alive. So I actually am going to consider my options here. Now, I could probably play this out. I could also play out the Rebecca just to be safe, and then also establish a Sabo. I could reduce the power of the Law and Beppo, so it's not a potential swing this next turn. So let's go ahead and play the Dressrosa Kingdom first, just to see what we dig into, which is another Sabo. I'm going to go ahead and play this Rebecca out, see what else we can get. Grabbing a 2K is pretty solid overall. I like to see that. And then with the remaining Dawn, I guess what we could do is just go ahead and play the Sabo out, then pump up my leader, reduce the power of the Law and Beppo, draw off of that, and then swing 8 into 7, see if they have a 2K to give us. They're pretty low in hand size themselves, so they might actually end up taking this one. I wouldn't be surprised. There it is. Good to see that. And then with the remaining Dawn, I'll put a 1 underneath the Rebecca. This way, at least, if they decide to really swing in, like maybe they have Dead Man's Game to rest both of my blockers, I still should be fine. They're only going to have really their leader to swing with. Another Law and Beppo comes down. That's really unfortunate. Now, if they have another Luna, this is where it really hurts. Going down to 1 life here and not having another Fire Fist to be able to prevent an attack from happening could hurt overall. I think we could be okay. It just depends on what they have. If they do have another Luna, then yeah, we might be in a little bit of trouble. They also might be scared here also, because my leader could push them down to 0, and I might establish another Sabo here. They might not have a way to get past 2 blockers overall. So if they decide to swing in really heavily, I'm going to try to use my Rebecca blocker just to go ahead and get it out of the way. But I really want to see what they have. They had 1 Luna. If they have another one, it might be close to game over. We'll have to see what they have. Wow. Okay, so it looks like they don't have another Luna, or at least they're opting to not play it. They're going to go ahead and swing 5 into lead here. I think what I want to do is go ahead and use my leader ability to pitch one of my counter events for a +1, and then I'm just going to block this one with their leader swing. I don't want to go down to 0, especially against a deck that can rest blockers pretty easily. So let's go ahead and just block this one and then keep the cards in hand that we have. With that in mind, I think what we can do is just swing 9 first and see what we can get out of their hand. So this is likely going to be a counter event that gives them, I would imagine, probably +4. Then we can swing another 9. So there is the DMG. So they did have it ready to go. We'll swing another 9 here into them, asking for a 2 and a 1. And then on top of that, if they do give us a 2 and a 1 here, they do have 2 and a 1. Okay, so they have, what, 2 cards left in their deck. So what we can end up doing is use our leader ability for its advantage here. So let's go ahead and swing Cavendish for 5, so 11 here, meaning that this will be guaranteed to connect. We draw into some more counter events, or just events in general. So then we can put the rest on our leader, swing 5, and then pitch all of these to pump up our leader for a 16k attack that they're not going to be able to get out of. So yeah, we got a little bit lucky there. They had bricks in hand. They also had a Luna, interestingly enough. I don't know if they just got that off of life or if they had it before, but yeah, that was a pretty close one overall. All right, into Doffy. I actually think this matchup is rather difficult for us because we're not establishing a very wide board. What Doffy's really good at is handling like 1 swing a turn. So I think that because we are only really establishing 1 body a turn, every turn that we're going to be swinging with it's kind of negated. We do have options to be able to remove their board, but if they establish a Virgo, we're in a lot of trouble. I do think this law is really good for us because we're going second. So being able to throw down the law on 6 is really strong. Having a Dressrosa Kingdom to throw down on 1 is really good into the Viola. We'll go ahead and grab the 4-cost event just in case we are able to, well, I guess that's the only thing we can grab anyway, but just in case we are getting a 4-cost character, that will be nice. But additionally, we can just play this outright, draw a couple cards, use our leader ability, draw more, and then if at worst, we could play a Viola off of it if we need to get an additional search. The sugar here, being able to get a Don Quixote Pirates character is going to be a nuisance if the Viola doesn't connect. Now, if they want to be kind of cheeky about it and give a 2K for that, then that really sucks for us because that means they're probably going to redirect, or they could potentially. I don't see most people doing that, but that always is a world that people can do. Okay, so at worst, we have a Sabo to play off of our 4-cost event here. Let's go ahead and swing Viola into the sugar. It's gone. We'll go 5 and delete here. They'll probably take this one. And then from here, we'll go ahead and play out the 4-cost event. Yeah, I think that's fine. Go ahead and play the 4-cost event here, see what we can get. We drew into Cavendish. Nice to see. We'll pitch a stage since we don't need it anymore. And then we can pass the turn from there. So overall, we've kind of started to stabilize just a little bit. And when I say stabilize, I mean like find our curve at the very last second. So overall, we're looking pretty decent. And if they swing 5 and delete, I'm just going to go ahead and I think we just take this one. I don't mind, like I said, going down to 2 life. And we're also trying to find... that's not good. We're trying to find the 7-cost Sabo. So they do find the Virgo on curve for themselves. That's rather annoying, but it is what it is. We'll go ahead and swing 5 and delete here. Then what we'll do is we'll swing with our Cavendish. Depending on what we draw, they're going to go ahead and just redirect into the Virgo. That's fine. There is a Sabo. Good to see that. Now, we do have a 4-cost event and also a Cavendish in hand. So kind of in a weird spot here. I do think that we want to keep those as an option for our 7 Dawn turn. Let's go ahead and pitch one of the Just Watch Me events because we have 2 more in hand as well. Swinging 6 into 5 here. They do allow it to connect. That's good to see. And then we're just going to establish this law. I think this law is a great way to answer the Virgo because it's a way to swing into the Virgo and also reduce its power in the meantime. So we kind of have our own variations of Virgo on both sides of the field. Down comes the 6-cost Rosian Law. Now, when I see Doffy decks running this card, I'm a little bit scared. I'm not going to lie. This card is incredibly strong in Doffy overall. I'm going to just let the Cavendish go. I think we just kind of have to do it because we will be able to establish... They decide not to swing. Oh, interesting. Okay, that's actually interesting for us. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. We won't be able to remove anything on their side of the board, so let's go ahead and just see what we can get out of this. We're going to go 7 into 5, and then let's see if they want to... free block that when they do. I think that actually changes our game plan just a little bit. Let's go ahead and swing 5 and delete here. See if they want to redirect. They probably will, or they actually might just give us a counter overall. Okay, so we're in a little bit of a pickle, and this is exactly how I explained it at the beginning when I was talking about the summary of this matchup. They are able to like protect their units pretty easily because we're not able to establish a lot of stuff. So because we're not able to establish freely, what I'm going to do is just go ahead and try to reestablish a board in the meantime. I think we kind of have to get rid of a 2K here. I'm considering the Leo just because I want to keep as many Fire Fists in hand. I think these are really strong cards overall. Now, there's a world where I could have, played a Rebecca to get a further search out, but I want to leave 1 open for the Just Watch Me because I believe I have 4 in trash overall. Actually, I might be wrong here. We'll see. Anyway, let's go ahead and then just... I think we'll go ahead and just take one because I want to see what they do after this. I could free block that one, but I don't want to free block and then them go all in with the Virgo. Oh my God. This is actually a nightmare for us. This is a nightmare scenario. I don't know how we're going to get out of this one because of the fact that they have double Virgo established. So if we get rid of one, that means that we're going to have to get rid of a second one in order to start using our removal effects. They also have Virgo, double Virgo to be able to start trading into stuff. So yeah, we're not looking so good right now. It just depends on what they do here. They might want to start swinging into this law because this law is actually, the course of a game is going to get a lot of value. Okay, 7 into lead. They're opting to not reduce anything. And then here, what I'll end up doing is I think I'll just go ahead and, I don't know if I actually have enough. I should have probably looked first. I don't. I'm 1 short. Okay, well, that's on me. I'll go ahead and just counter out of this one with a 2 and a 2 because I want to keep this Rebecca in hand. And then if they want to swing with the Rosian Law, then that's kind of trolling on their part because of the fact that I can just free block it. Some people forget that this is a Sabo blocker. They're thinking about it. Okay, they realize that they probably should not do that. Okay, so good for them. Let's go ahead and swing this Law into it, reduce it down to 5. They might free block again. That's actually really good for us. What we can do, since we haven't seen a 7-cost Sabo, we might find one with the Rebecca. There he is. Let's go ahead and get that 7-cost established. Playing out the Fire Fist to reduce this Rosian Law. We'll swing the Cavendish into the Rosian Law, pitching a 1-cost event. Now we have 4 in trash. It's really good for us as well. They will redirect into the Doffy, or rather the Dellinger, to get their ramp and draw off. And then we have 2 more swings. Both of these should connect. We could play out the Just Watch Me event just to be safe. But I think what we'll do instead is we will swing 8. Let's draw first 8 into Rosie and Law. This one will thankfully went down. And then here, what I can do is swing 10 into 5. And then we will put a Dawn underneath the Rebecca blocker. And we actually took care of their board in 1 turn. Now we have a really sizable board. The tables have turned back into our favor a little bit because we have 2 of the 7-cost Sabo. We have a way to reduce their stuff. We have ways to draw into the deck and ways to protect ourselves. So we're looking really good here. Of course, we can just do the same thing this next turn. With this being a really weak turn on their end, you know, establishing a sugar, I think we're okay overall. They probably aren't going to establish anything too crazy. What I can do is just free block this one. Now, if they want to swing into this one with leader for 5 or 6, I can protect it. And then 5 is really good for us. What we can do is just give them a 2K or just use the stage to protect the Cavendish. And then swinging 9 into it means that we'll just block it with the Rebecca. I think we're in a pretty good spot being able to protect our units like this. And then if we can get rid of this Doffy, or if we can get rid of the Virgo first, then we might be able to get rid of the Doffy with an effect afterwards with like a Just Watch Me Bari Bari pistol. So we kind of have to play it pretty smart. We have to play for getting rid of the Virgo first. Swinging into this is a little bit interesting. I think I probably should block just to get it off the field, make room for something else if we need it. We'll swing 7 into the Virgo. Actually, whatever they do with the remaining bit of their turn. Okay, Viola is a little bit annoying. With 4 Dawn open means they probably have 2 of the slow beam, and they could actually just get it back with Viola, or at least 1 and then get it back with Viola. So that's pretty annoying overall. 7 into 5, I would imagine, is probably a slow beam and maybe like a 1K. Yep, unfortunate. It is what it is, but maybe we'll still have a chance. Them resting the Cavendish is interesting. Maybe they want to cut off my card draw, and that's respectable, but I think having a 9K swing is probably a little bit more scary. Let's see what we can do here. Okay, so none of this is good. We'll go ahead and grab a 2K just to stockpile those. Let's swing 9 into 5. They let that go, and I'm really surprised. Okay, so we have a couple options. We can do minus 3,000 into the 8-cost Doffy. We will be able to get rid of it no matter what. So let's go ahead and just swing 5 into the sugar and see if we can get this off the field. They let it go. Then what we can end up doing is we could go like, I guess for 1, we could do Just Watch Me. Minus 3,000 and then swing 9 into 6. I would imagine they're probably just going to block this one with the Viola. I don't think they would let this one go. Point being. And then if they do let it go, then I guess we could do like the 4-cost event just to draw into the deck. We could also Bari Bari pistol the Viola. We have a couple options. But if they block with the Viola, then at that point, yeah, block with the Viola, probably get the slow beam back. That's fine. Then we can Bari Bari pistol. I should draw first just to see if I can get a Sabo off of this. We don't. Then we'll go Bari Bari pistol to bottom deck, and then what we will do from there is just put a Dawn underneath the Rebecca, leave 2 open. Not that we would need it for anything, but maybe, you know, the 2 open kind of leaves a bluff and has to have them consider what we could potentially have. And now we've taken back the board. So I'm actually really shocked that this has worked out. Swinging 5 alone usually means one thing and one thing only, the 10 cost, which means it could freeze 3 of my units, which that's fine. We'll go ahead and use our leader ability here. They'll probably freeze the Cavendish. I would imagine probably the Law and maybe one of the Sabos. Okay, that's fine. Law is still active. We have the option of getting rid of the 10 cost. We could if we really want to. We could go swing 7 first, minus this by 2, so it's an 8. They take this one. We'll go ahead and play over the Rebecca, and then I'm going to go ahead and just swing really big here. If they want to redirect into the 10 cost, and that means that this 10 cost is going to go down. Otherwise, they take the 2 life, and then we can pass from there. We have 1 rested unit, and then they don't have a way to play another 10 cost. And then we have this huge board of 9Ks being able to be swung this next turn. We could have gotten rid of the 10 cost, but honestly, I'm not really worried about it, because if they just swing outright like a 10, then what we can do is we'll easily free block this one. And then if they want to swing 10 into something, we can use the stage, and then we'll be fine from there. So let's see what they do. They might want to put a Dawn underneath and swing into the Law, because they're not guaranteed. Yep, 11 into 7. This one's a little bit more tricky. What I'll do is I will go ahead and block this one and then give them a 1 and a 2. I'm not going to use any events from hand because I want to make sure that I can power up my biggest swing. This coming down an 8 cost into a Rosie is not good for them because what they needed was the thing that heals them. So we're just going to swing 9. They might have more of the slow beams, totally fine. If they rest one of my units, not a big issue. We have enough units to be able to close the game out, point being. And so if they want to redirect. If they want to slow beam, we still have at least 3 more hits being able to be connected. So they are able to connect or counter out of that one. Let's go ahead and swing 7 into 5 and then reduce the power. Okay, they redirect that one and then we swing 9 and they just didn't have enough. Yeah, at that point, I'm actually surprised we actually came out on top of this one. This one is somewhat of a difficult matchup if they are able to establish all the Virgos as we saw. All right, into red-green Luffy. I think I'm going to take first here. Pretty solid hand. The fact that we have a follow me to find a character. We also have a Sabo already in there. Here, we're just going to grab a 1-cost Rebecca. The Rebecca, hopefully this next turn, will be able to find either a couple things, the 4-cost event, 4-cost Cavendish, or a 4-cost Sabo would be nice. A stage is also something I'm pretty happy to find with the Rebecca as well. Down comes a Bonnie on their side, which is new from EBO4, just grabbing an Egghead or Straw Hat crew. Pretty nice to see overall. We also have the Viola to play as well on top of that, so we will go Rebecca, find something off of that, depending on what we find. If it's a stage, then we can also play the stage, and then Viola to further dig into the deck. So drawing into a Fire Fist is a pretty solid card to have in this matchup here. We'll go ahead and play out the Rebecca. Grabbing the 4-cost event's probably our best option here. Then we will swing 5 into lead. Since they're tapped out, they either have to give us counter or just take this hit. So either way, I'm fine. They do give us a counter. Nice to see that. We'll go ahead and play the Viola out, and then I guess we grab the Bari pistol. Because of the fact that they just pitched a Robin, they might have a second one, but if we can find an opportunity to use the Bari pistol before they establish a Robin, I think we're in a pretty good standing. I put the Dawn underneath the Rebecca just as a safeguard. I usually will never block anyway this early. I'll go ahead and take it, but, you know, it has to at least be useful in some regard. So if they want to go like 5 with lead and then like, I don't know, 5 with a Bonnie, then so be it. I could block one of them, but they're probably never going to do that. This is just a front. They are going 5. Okay, so they're going 5 with lead. Maybe I spoke too soon. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and just take this one. And I'm interested to see what they do here, because they're not opting to use their leader ability more than likely, if that's the case. What is it, a 4-cost character? It could be Usopp. Usopp is a character that could come down on 4 and establish the rest of their game for them, because it just restands Dawn at the end of every turn, which is really annoying. Now, we have a lot of options to play here, and I'm thinking about playing stage, playing the 4-cost event, but I think what we do is we just swing 5 and see if they take this one or give us another counter. They're probably going to take this one since they countered out of the first one. And I'm going to go ahead and just play the Bari pistol, get it out of the way, because this is one of the few targets that we can actually hit without having to reduce the power of something first. Drawing into a second stage is not necessarily the best thing, but it's okay. That means that we can pitch one for counter event if we need to, or be able to pitch it later with like the 4-cost Sabo event. So pretty nice overall. This turn, I would imagine a 5-cost Sanji comes down. 5-cost 7k, restands a Dawn. That's probably going to be their best bet. They do have, I think, a 6-cost Luffy. I think they grabbed it earlier off of the Bonnie, but they might just want to go ahead and establish this 5-cost Sanji instead. Yep. They'll put a Dawn underneath their leader, swing 6. I'll take this one. And then they will be able to restand 1 at the end of the turn. They'll be able to counter out of whatever we swing at them this turn. That's fine. I'm just going to see if they're awake. And then we can play out the 7-cost Sabo into the 4-cost event, drawing, and then playing out the... Well, we don't have anything. Let's go ahead and just pitch a stage and play out the Sabo here and draw into another Sabo. So we're out of 2Ks. We have no counter in hand other than what our leader ability provides. So naturally, they're probably going to be swinging 6 with their leader. And this is where it becomes a little bit interesting. If they swing 6 with their leader, I could pitch 2 cards from hand, but I really don't want to do that. And then they might swing even bigger with the Sanji. So we have to consider that as well. So let's see if we can maybe just free block their leader swing. And if they want to swing really big with the Sanji into my Sabo, then I got called out. But I don't think they're going to do that, so let's see if we can risk it a little bit here. 6 in the lead. As I mentioned, let's just go ahead and block this one. This is a really interesting spot, because if they decide to swing really big into it, then yeah, we're going to have a problem. But I don't think they're going to want to. Most people are not going to naturally be like, oh, I should put Dawn underneath the Sanji and swing into it. So looks like they're not. Just 8 into 5. We'll go ahead and take this one. Finally get a 2K. We're in a little bit of a rough spot because we don't have any counter in hand. So yeah. Anyway, this is an interesting turn as well because we have a couple of options. I might be more inclined because I don't think I have enough in trash to be able to get this off for free. I don't. So what we could do is we could play a 1-cost event, fill up the trash with another event. But I think what we just do is go ahead and, while we can, do the Fire Fist, get this Luffy off the field, and then probably just pitch a Cavendish and one of the 4-cost events, get rid of this Luffy. We could also use the stage, play the stage down, and then maybe just swing into lead with the Sabo. We could also use the 1-cost, or I guess it's a 4-cost into a 1-cost, just watch me. I'm just going to swing 8 into lead, see what they do. I think there might be a world where we could have reduced this down, but I also just want to put a Dawn underneath the Rebecca. And because I don't want to play into Electrical Luna this turn, I'm going to go ahead and just leave my Sabo standing upright, because I think they could just counter out of that one easily anyway. Now here they might want to swing into the 4-cost Sabo if they want to. I'll probably just free block some of these. I'm also playing into Luna by doing that as well, so something to keep in mind overall. This is one of those matchups where it's like, it seems like it's in your favor, but then they might have Lunas to back themselves up with, and that's where it becomes a little bit problematic. We haven't really found the right tools to succeed quite yet. I mean, we do have a nice little board, but it could be, we could be playing this a little bit better. Down comes the Zoro. I think what we can do is just block this one with the Rebecca, because I don't think they're going to be able to easily swing into the Sabo. Yeah, we'll just be able to free block some of these. This is really interesting because if we kept the Fire Fist, well, I guess getting rid of that Luffy's probably pretty good, especially if they have a backup Zoro. So overall, pretty fine. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to see what we can find off of this. This is a really tough... We could have... This Fire Fist could have come in really handy here, but unfortunately, we should just be grabbing Sabos where we can. We do have a way to get rid of this Zoro overall. We'll go ahead and play this for free, then draw one off of this. Oh, it's Cavendish. Drawing a Cavendish this late always sucks. Let's go ahead and use the Fire Fist to reduce it even further. We'll swing 5 into 2. Now, do they let this one go? They might. They might want to use their leader ability as well, but they might want to save their leader ability for what they might perceive to be swings to face, which, to be quite honest, I'm feeling like I should. I feel like I should probably swing at least maybe 2 Sabos to face and have one standing upright. Okay, they let it go. Do we want to risk it at all? I feel like I want to try to get them down to 2 life. Them being this high up in life total is kind of scary, especially if they're going into what is... I mean, they're already at full Dawn, so they might feel comfortable to play a 9-cost if they have it. Okay, since they tapped out, let's go ahead and swing 9 into 7, see if we can get them down to 2 life. We are able to connect there. They have a lot of cards in hand, so I don't think we're in a really strong spot, because if there's a way for them to rest any of my board, which they do have, like the 4-cost Nami can rest. They do have Dead Man's Game. There's the 4-cost Nami. Resting the Sabos, both Sabos. 6 to lead, probably. And then I don't have a way to really protect this, unfortunately. What I could do is give them a 2K. I could also use leader ability as well, plus a stage. So let's go ahead and use the stage. Go +2, and then if they go 7 into lead, I'm going to have to do like leader ability plus a 2K, and we're going to be down to 4 cards drawing into 5, which is not really good at all, unfortunately. Okay, so I could just take this one as well. I think that might be a better bet. They do have an unblockable, but I have ways to at least protect myself from them having the ultimate unblockable. There's Luna, as expected. Okay, so yeah, we played into it by swinging into them with 2 Sabos. At least we have another one here. We don't really have a way to answer this Sanji because of this Nami. I guess what we could do is we could probably just play out the Sabo. I'm probably going to use the 4-cost event and not play a Cavendish, because I don't want to... I want to have both blockers up, because if they have to have another Nami in order to get past it, or Dead Man's Game, I suppose, is another way to get past it. We're not really in a good spot, though, regardless, that being said. So let's go ahead and just draw 2, trash 1. I think we just trash the Cavendish. Don't play anything off of it. Draw another one to see what we can get. And then I think we just swing. I mean, there's no reason to swing anything, really, because they're going to be able to use their leader ability. We'll put a Dawn underneath the Rebecca and then pass the turn. If they want to swing... Oh, gosh. Here comes another Nami. If they have another Electrical Luna to back this up, I think it's probably game over. This is the reason why green is so good against us in some regards. Being able to do this really hurts. Swinging 7 is a really good number here because I have to use 2 cards to get out of it. So we're going to use the stage, and then I guess I have to give them a 1k here. And then if they want to swing another 7, I could do a just watch me, but if they swing 8, then that's a really good swing as well. They do swing 8. Okay, so they probably know this matchup a little bit better than most people. So we'll go ahead and then use the just watch me to go -3, and then I'll have to give them a 2k. I don't want to drop any more counter from hand. And with the remaining 3, if it's a Luna, I think it's probably game over depending on... Yeah, oh god. Yeah, I mean, this is green gaming sometimes. They have it if they have it. So we didn't draw anything good, so I'm going to go ahead and concede here. There's no way for me to really come back from this one. We did have a Roger coming up next, but it wouldn't have mattered because if they wanted to, they could probably just swing really heavily. And I didn't want to have to use my Viola, one of my 2Ks, to be able to search a little bit deeper. So GG to the opponent. They definitely saw exactly what they needed against us. All right, into Enel here. They are able to choose if they go first or second. Naturally, they will go first. Usually in this matchup, you want to go first just to have a little bit more advantage to your side. It's already disadvantaged anyway. Playing out the Ohm, if they... I mean, they're going to go to 2 Dawn next turn, so they're not going to be able to play Dog on top of that. So that's at least nice. But we'll go ahead and play the Follow Me and then the Viola to be able to swing into the Ohm the next turn. We'll go ahead and grab the Sabo off of that. And then this next turn, what we can end up doing, if we get a 4-cost event, to be able to play out the Cavendish, we will. Otherwise, we'll just play out the Cavendish and then pass from there. They are grabbing a Divine Departure with the Pudding, and then here they're going to use their leader ability to put 4 rested underneath the Ohm, and then swing likely 6 with lead as well. So they have Ohm, Pudding, and Satori all coming down. They have a lot of ways to answer or continue to be aggressive every turn, swinging 6 every turn, and it's really hard for us to answer all of these bodies. This is where Boa Hancock comes in handy as well, to be able to bottom deck some of these. But here what we're going to do is we're going to take 1, and then, okay, we don't have to, I mean, give a 2k if we don't want to, per se. We'll go ahead and take this one, and then I guess we could use maybe the Bari Bari pistol to pitch, just to be able to, you know, get 1 card out of hand that's not a 2k. We'll swing 2 and a 2. Sometimes Enels will protect these swings, and I don't think that's the worst thing in the world for them. But I will just go ahead and swing 5 into it anyway. It's going to go down. So they might want to just protect their life by doing this. They're thinking about it at least. And in these scenarios, sometimes, okay, Mama Ragon's actually pretty good for them. 5 and a 2, because they get to just like go neutral in hand size. I was going to say, sometimes if they counter out, then they start going down in hand size, and this is where you can come back and start like bleeding them of resources a little bit. Cavendish is a good card overall to be able to dig into the deck, but I fully expect this card to be... what is it called? Like Lightning Dragon or something like that. Whenever it swings, it'll only get 1 swing because they'll continuously freeze it in place. 2 into 2. Yeah, since they have 3 bodies, I'm going to go ahead and just let them have this one, but they have to get their search off first. Or rather stack. They stack the top 2 with the Satori, which is just a good card. Seems like Enel has a lot of really good cards. Insane sometimes. Anyways, they could be playing out a 6-cost Enel here. If they do, we're in a little bit of trouble. We're not in the worst spot, to be quite honest, but it is rather annoying overall. They have a lot of options. Honestly, there's a lot of different things they could be doing with their turns, so kind of hard to guess exactly what they want to do. But most Enels, if they have a 6-cost Enel, whether it's the blocker or whether it's the searcher, they'll end up playing it just to get a really big body established this early on. Down comes one of them. Unlucky for us, it means that we're going to have to establish a Rebecca and hope that they don't pop it with like an El Thor to be able to protect the Cavendish if they swing into it. And if they don't have the El Thor, then they could always just have like the Lightning Dragon as well. They're going to pitch the Divine Departure, which is good for us because that means that's 1 less card to be able to rest the 7-cost Sabo whenever we do eventually get one. They're going to go ahead and use the leader ability. I would imagine they're going to, I mean, it doesn't really matter. They're probably going to swing with the Satori anyway, just to get a little bit of stacking going on. So they are going to put it underneath the Pudding, swinging 6 into lead. I'll go ahead and take that one. And then if they go 6 into lead again, then I'll go ahead and give them a 2K, probably the Koala, if I had to guess. That's probably going to be my best 2K to give them because I want to hold on to the Sabo just in case. And then this next turn, what we can do is play Rebecca. If we need to play double Rebecca, we can as well. Yeah, Satori is going to be swung. That's really good for us because what we want to do is we want to get rid of these Satoris. The Satoris are stacking their life, or being able to look at the top 2 every time it swings. They're keeping cards on the top of the deck. Yeah, this deck is really consistent. Here, we'll go ahead and just swing 5 into 2. Easy to go down. 6 into 2, we'll draw a little bit. Not the worst thing in the world to see. I think what we could do is probably pitch the 1 cost. Did I double pitch something? I didn't. Okay, it looked like I did for a second. We'll go ahead and play the Rebecca, and then we'll go ahead and play another Rebecca here, grabbing a Cavendish. Then we'll go ahead and play the 4-cost event to play out a Cavendish. And then we are at least somewhat set for the next turn, because obviously this 1 Cavendish is going to go down no matter what. If they had an Enel Thor to get rid of the Rebecca, then so be it. They might also just freeze the Cavendish as well and swing really heavy into face, which, if that's the case, then yeah, that's going to suck, but what can you do at that point? Okay, another Enel coming out. This one is the blocker Enel. They're pitching. Oh, no, they're not pitching. They're using the Lightning Dragon. There it is, to be able to freeze my Cavendish. Understandable, have a nice day. Then what they're going to end up doing here is probably going to swing 6 with the pudding, 6 with their leader, and then 10 with the other Enel. So we're going to have to counter out of 2 of these hits, and then I kind of have to respect the pudding, unfortunately. I have to go and swing into it, which is really annoying. We'll go ahead and give them a 2K, and then here they're going to go ahead. Oh, they're going to go and play another pudding. Oh, yeah. All right, well, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. Do we respect the pudding since they have 2 on the field? Because no matter what, if we get rid of one of them, then the other one's going to be able to swing. I still think that we should. Oh, God. Here's the Thor, just being able to get rid of a Rebecca. Yeah, so insane here. They might play it this turn. I mean, to be honest, they probably should. They're at 6 Dawn, so I think it makes sense for them to. They're going to go 6 into lead here, or 5 into lead. I'm going to go ahead and give them a 1K. We're not going to find time to play this Law, and it's not really that useful if we haven't established it on curve. They do have the Thor. They're just going to wait, unfortunately. We're going to go ahead and swing 6 into 2. This is why this matchup, or the one way that you can kind of come back in this matchup, is chaining Sabos with Fire Fist. We'll go ahead and draw, and then from here, I'm just going to go ahead. Yeah, I should respect it. I'm going to swing 8 into 2 here. And then I'm just going to put a Dawn underneath the Rebecca, knowing fully that it will likely go based off of the Thor that they have in hand. And if it goes, it goes. And if they want to put Dawn underneath the 6-cost Enel to swing into my face and get me down to 0, so be it. But what I imagine they'll probably do, okay, this is not what I was imagining they were going to do. This is one of the things, like I mentioned, it's kind of hard to predict exactly what they're going to want to do here, but they're going to play out the Sanji. They're sequencing it correctly, so they're not wasting any Dawn. Playing out the Sanji to Thor the Rebecca. Then at this point, they have 3 Dawn to work with. Could be another Sanji. It could be like a couple of events. Who knows what they're going to do. They could also put a bunch of Dawn on other stuff and swing. They could just block this one and give them a 2K. Just because I want to keep as many Cavendishes alive as possible. I think it's a really important card for this matchup to dig further into the deck. Them tapping the 6-cost Enel is actually really good for us. In matchups against Enel, you should be scared if they don't tap their 6-cost because of the fact that we cannot remove it. And the only way that we can remove it is through combat. And so if we have another Fire Fist, which we do in hand, we can answer this really easily. Really easily. Down comes another Sanji, so double blocker. That hurts because it means that it's not going to be as easy to get rid of this Enel. They had another Lightning Dragon, as expected. If they have a second one, that really hurts us as well because we really need to be able to dig to find another 7-cost Sabo. We don't have one. We might have to spend a Viola or 2 to be able to find it. Point being, we're not in a good spot. And they're also going to play the Thor on the Rebecca while they still can. Or, I mean, they can anyway at any point in time. But yeah, why not just use it now? That's fine. It saves me a Dawn the next turn. They're also buffing up the pudding in the process of this. 7 into lead. I'm going to go ahead and just take this one. Let's see what we can get. Okay, we do find another Sabo off of that. That's really good for us. We are passing up some stages, but it is what it is. Here, I'm going to go ahead and use my leader ability to pitch 1 for 1K and then give them a 2K here with the Sabo. I need both of the Violas to be able to find things, dig into the deck. Okay, so Bari Pistol's fine, but only on the 6-cost Sanji. We're going to go ahead and use this effect. We'll draw. We'll swing Cavendish 6 into 2 here. And I kind of want to see what they end up doing. Because if they block these, then if they block these hits, they're trying to like force me to swing with my Sabo. Which is fine because I have another one backed up. But I'm going to swing it anyway because I want to clear out their board as much as possible. Keep in mind this moment, we are at 0 life right now. We are at 0 life. and they are at 5. So we haven't made a dent a single time. They've been able to find all of the pieces they needed so far based off of their hand size, based off the cards they're drawing into. One of the reasons this deck is incredibly strong here. Anyway, so they're going to block. They're just going to let it go. That's fine. We're going to go 8 into 2. Do they want this one to go down? They might not want this one to go down. They might block this one again. They do block this one again. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to swing Sabo into it. They still have the pudding ready to go. That's good for them. We'll go ahead and use the Rebecca to, I guess, just grab the 7-cost double attack event, because we will need to eventually start breaking through all of their life, and this is a good way to do it once we're able to clear out this pudding this next turn. Now, they have a couple things here. They could Divine Departure, rest a blocker, L4, the other one, and then swing like 6. That's not what they're doing, though. That's good for us. Establishing another blocker here is just fine. What we're going to do is we're going to continue to play the game of Mama Ragon, yeah, to rest the Rebecca. That's respectable. Unlucky that that's the case, because that means that, well, I'm going to play over it regardless. I'm going to play the 7-cost Sabo no matter what. And I probably am going to use the Bari Bari pistol on top of that, to be quite honest. Just to bottom deck something, just to limit the amount of stuff they have on the board. This is a turn where they really need to reestablish, and with the amount of cards in hand, it's kind of hard for them to do that. They need to take life in order to see some of the big guys. Thor to go ahead and pop the Rebecca. That's good for us. I mean, it saves us a decision to play over it. Because sometimes you're like, oh, do I need 2 Cavendishes? Do I need more blockers? In this scenario, I would actually need more blockers. So it actually helps us make a decision here. I think what we can just do is free block this one more than likely. Actually, I don't know if we can. We should free block this one, because that means that if we don't free block this one, then they're not enticed to swing with the pudding, and we want them to turn things sideways so that we can be able to counter out. So here, what we're going to just do is use the Just Watch Me to give them 1 card to minus that. Really good here. Roger's also really good as well. We'll go ahead and pitch the 4-cost event. And at this point, what we're going to end up doing is I think we should start swinging at face. So we're going to bait them with this 1 swing just to see if they block with the Sanji. They're not taking the bait. That's fine. Double Bari Bari pistol is really good as well. We could probably pitch the Fire Fist, because I don't think we need this per se. Actually, Fire Fist is really good as well. We could get rid of the Ohm. We could get rid of both of their bodies. Maybe it was a mistake pitching that, but I do like the fact that I have a bunch of 2Ks in hand. I think that's really useful for me. And I'm going to go ahead and just not be too risky and Bari Bari pistol the Ohm, and then have them swing their blocker if they really want to. Because we can, if we need to, go ahead and bottom deck it as well this next turn. We're on a mission here to be able to survive. We're trying to close out the game the best we can. We also want this blocker to be able to feel like they're safe, so that if we do play a Roger down, then they're like, I should have blocked earlier. So that's one of the reasons why you can keep the Sanji there. Okay, here they're just going to swing really big, because I don't think they're seeing what they need, which is really good for us. We've kind of turned the corner a little bit. We'll block and give them a 2K. And then I'm happy with the hand that we have. We're going to go ahead and just swing 6. I think we pitched the Rebecca because we don't need all of these blockers. We're just going to continue to draw. Another 6 into lead here. Pitching out another Leo. I want to stack my hand with as many counter events as, well, I guess just events in general as possible. We'll swing 9. And then at this point, I'm going to swing another 9. I'm just going to continue to do what I need to do here. If they want to take this one, that's great. We also might be in, oh my God, we're going to play the Roger. Because they took that hit, I was not thinking about it, but I immediately, just my brain said, do it. Because what we can do is we can swing 9 here. They're going to have to give us a lot of cards. And if they do, then we can go and swing 11 with our leader based off of the amount of counters that we have in hand, or events in our hand rather, and then 13. So here they're probably thinking like, what do they have? They have to get out of a 9, and what they're thinking is maybe like a 6 or 7. I don't know. We'll see what they have. They go ahead and give us +2, a 1, a Mama Ragon to draw 1, and a +1. That's why that card's so dangerous. You can never really count lethal. And at this point, I mean, we're pretty safe to say that we can connect with this 11 and then connect with the 13 as well. So I wasn't thinking about going for game, but I think it makes the most sense. So yeah, they didn't have it. We kind of had to pull that one out of our butt, but we were able to do it. All right, back into Red Green Luffy. We learned our mistake from this first time. We should not play into a Luna. We should probably be a little bit smarter in how we play things. So this is a little bit different of a deck composition. They have VV instead of the Bonnie, which they both grab Straw Hat, so it is what it is, kind of the same thing. Here, I'm going to go ahead and just grab a Sabo, because once again, we need to find as many Sabos in this deck as possible, and we'll pass at that point. Grabbing a Rebecca's fine, but I mean, if you have what you need right there, then perfect. Down comes a Robin. Unlucky for us, it is what it is. We're going to go ahead and swing 5 into lead here, and then what we can do is play out the Cavendish. We are going second in this matchup as opposed to first last time, so they are able to play the Robin on curve, which that means that it's going to be really hard for us to remove their stuff, because they're never really going to swing this Robin. They will swing their bodies, which means we should probably prioritize the bodies that are swung. We'll go ahead and take this hit. And then this next turn, we can do a couple things here. We don't really have anything for, like, we don't have a good 4 cost, rather. So maybe we can dig into it with the Cavendish. We can also find it with the Rebecca. We have a lot of ways to find things this turn, but we don't necessarily have all the Dawn in the world. So kind of have to keep that in mind. I'm swinging 5 just to get something out of hand here. We'll swing 6. You know, this Law is actually a pretty good thing. I might be more inclined to play the 6-cost Law here. This will help us trade into their bodies pretty easily. They do take that 6 because I don't think they want to lose a character. They might think that they would tap and then at that point play like Bari Bari Pistol, bottom deck something. So smart on their point just to take that hit. That's fine. They play out the Garp, then grab, the Usopp. This turn, I mean, they might just play the Usopp down. That's probably their best bet. Just so they can have the continuous +2 every turn, which is really annoying for us to have to deal with. Yep, Usopp comes down. They're going to go 6 into Cavendish. Here, I'm going to go ahead and just protect it with a 1K. And if they want to go 8 into it, that hurts, but they don't. So we're going to go ahead and give them a 2K. And then I think we're in a really good spot here. What we're going to end up doing is we're going to just try to trade into the Sanji. There's no point to swing into lead, because of the fact that if we swing into lead, it's the same thing as swinging into the Sanji, and we want to get the Sanji off the field. So this turn, also what we can end up doing is instead of using a Fire Fist, we can go Sabo into the 4-cost event to further reduce it down, draw, and then play the Viola or swing the Viola into it. So 2 into 2, making it a little bit more of an awkward decision for them. That's totally fine if they want to let this one go. They might give us a counter here, but I don't know if that's the case. They might let it go just to keep Dawn open for us to swing into them to protect themselves with, because there's nothing I can do at that point beyond just swinging. So they might just want to let this one go. They do give us a 1K. Okay, that's fine. We're going to go ahead and give them a 6 into 2 here. We'll pitch one of the stages because we have another stage in hand. This one, they might want to give like 2 of their Dawn and then a 1K. They just let it go. That's fine. I'm going to swing into 5 into 5. I mean, they're going to use leader ability no matter what. Might as well do it. There's no point not to. And then play out the stage. Having the stage is pretty good to be able to be more defensive for my characters here. Now, keep in mind, I said play around Luna, but I kind of have to swing these characters in order to get stuff off their board. So if they have a Luna here, so be it. It's unfortunate, but yeah, I guess it is what it is. We have more Sabos ready to go, and we're not really in a bad spot, per se. 3-cost Nami, not too bad, making their leader use the Dawn that they play every turn, which is really good for them. Being able to recycle Dawn is very powerful for this deck. Now, if they swing 7, I think I want to free block this one. They're going to go 2 into 2. Yeah, we just let this one go. Now, if they go 7, like I said, we'll just free block it. Yeah, they might be able to Luna, but if they Luna, then they're also not establishing a body this turn either, so I think we're okay with that. And if they swing leader first, then that means that they might swing the Usopp as well. 8 into Cavendish. Okay, easy free block this one. I don't care if they want to Luna. I think I'm just going to block the 8 no matter what. And then if they go into 7 into 6, 7 into 5. Okay, I'm just going to take this one, I think. No reason not to. With 3, they might have a Luna. They might actually have a Luna here, and if they do, then I think it's fine to go ahead and use the Bari Bari Pistol so that they're forced to then either bottom deck this Robin, so then we can start removing their stuff, or pay the Dawn and not Luna me. So it's a really interesting decision here. Really good that we got that trigger. They do bottom deck, which means that they probably have the Luna. There's the Luna. I said I'm not going to play around it, but, you know, it's kind of hard not to at times. I'm a little bit greedy. What can I say? Anyway, here we're going to go ahead and use the Viola to see if we can what we can grab. I kind of want the Fire Fist just to stack these up. I think is probably fine. The 2K is really enticing as well. Anyway, let's go ahead and just. I'm going to swing into. I'm not going to use the effect. I'm just going to swing into the Usopp, get it off the field, so that they don't really have any threats on their side of the board. And then what I can do is also get rid of this Nami, so they're not recycling Dawn. every turn. I think that was a pretty solid play. If they have another Luna here, that's fine by me. It means that they're only establishing one body and then an Luna. So I'm a lot more comfortable in this matchup, or at least in this match, than the previous one. They are playing it pretty well, though, I will say. This turn could be a 9-cost Zoro. Some of them have like 1 or 2 in the deck. But without removal protection, it's kind of hard for them to comfortably establish it, which is a really important turn that the Bari Bari pistol was in life. We got a little bit lucky there, I will say. Usopp comes down. Another one coming down, that's fine. Not really worried about Usopp. Down comes another Robin. So they're just trying to reestablish. I think what we can do is just block since they have 2 open here. And then at that point, I think what we can do is just start swinging 7s across the board. Pitching out. They just go ahead and surrender. I think that they were a little bit in trouble there. They did have the 9-cost Zoro, which is really important as to us, getting rid of the Robin the previous turn, because if they had the Robin already established, then that Zoro was definitely living, and we were going to be in a world of hurt. Into Nami, I'm going to go ahead and take first here. Although, I mean, you could argue that first or second either is like... Second's probably better for Nami because they can get their 10-cost Newgate down faster, or rather on curve. But yeah, we'll take first because I just like to go first anyway. Anyway, we'll grab the Sabo here. Can never have too many Sabos. If we can get another Sabo off of this 1-cost event, I'll be pretty happy. Yeah, like I said, maybe taking second from them would have been a little bit better. This is a more favorable matchup for us, though, because we can just answer a lot of their bodies pretty easily. Having blockers is nice, and usually they only have 1 of the 1-cost events. That gives them unblockable. We'll go ahead and grab a Cavendish and then swing 7 into lead. They'll probably just take this one because I don't think they want to give us 2 cards out of hand. In this turn, usually they'll play on 4 like a Marco or Kikunojo. Both of them suck. Kikunojo I think sucks a little bit more for us because it will swing more often than the Marco will. Now this turn, I really want to play out the Cavendish, but I think what we can do is just swing 5, bait out their leader ability. It doesn't matter if we swing 5 or 6, they're still going to be able to do the same thing. So it kind of gives us an answer as to what to do. I think Bari Bari Pistol is probably the better option right now just to get the board clear so that we have less things to counter out of this next turn and also a pretty clean 7-cost Sabo turn as well. Nami is a problem, something to consider that I was thinking about, but I was hoping they didn't have it. they always have it though. But we are very lucky that we got a 2k out of life, but that means that we can, they're going to swing 8 here. We're going to go down to 1. I was going to say we can counter out of this, but I don't want to drop too many cards. We're not in any danger of getting puddinged either. Thank God for the ban. Another Sabo is really nice to see here. Let's go ahead and see if we can get another card out of hand from them. And then here, what we can do is we can go 7-cost Sabo into another Bari Bari Pistol, clearing their board along the way. The following turn, what we can end up doing is using the Rebecca to find potentially a 7-cost Fire Fist. We can find a 4-cost event, just something to be able to get the Cavendish out. They are pitching a Gravity Blade. Love to see that because, yeah, Gravity Blade is not going to be great in this matchup unless I have Cavendishes established. Another Sabo is really good for us. I'm shocked that we're able to find all 4 of them this early on, but I'm also not complaining either because we love to see that. Having a Sabo this turn means that we're going to be able to free block most likely whatever they throw at us unless they get like a 4-cost on the field and then swing 10. But even then, we're still fine to not go down to 0. In this matchup, you should respect going down to 0 because they do have that one of usually unblockable event. And they'll probably end up seeing it by the amount that they draw. So here, they're just going to go ahead and swing 7 into lead. Yeah, that's fine. I'm just going to free block this one. And Robin is a problem because it means we can't KO her. So we have to find another Bari Bari pistol. And if we're lucky to find one along with something to reduce her power, then we can get her off the field. But in the meantime, we'll just block her attacks. We'll go 5 into lead here. And then, of course, we're going to be able to swing this Sabo, which we should. We're establishing as big a wide a board as we possibly can here. Is this a trigger? Please don't be a trigger. I don't want a trigger, please, no. Looks like we evaded a trigger. Good to see that. They're not going to use their leader ability there, so we're going to go ahead and just swing 9 into 5. And here they could use their leader ability, but they're opting not to. We're going to go ahead and play out the Sabo. Playing out the 4-cost, we're going to pitch Cavendish and then play a Cavendish. And then this next turn, we have another Sabo, or rather, yeah, another Sabo. We have a 1-cost Dressrosa stage and then the Rebecca as well. They're going to play out the Borsalino, heal back up to 3. And then if they swing really big with the Robin, we can just block it with the Rebecca. If they divide their Dawn up evenly, we can block one with the 7-cost Sabo and then block the other one with Rebecca. Oh, no. Not the Zeus. Please, just let me have a Cavendish. Why can't I have a Cavendish? Ugh. So annoying. Anyway, if they do decide to play out a new gate in the next turn or two, we have an answer for it. We have the 7-cost Fire Fist into the 2-cost Fire Fist, so looking pretty good there. Now here, they're going to probably swing, based off of that, playing the Zeus, they're going to probably swing what is like a 9-8. So we just, I mean, we could actually counter out of this one, but I think it's fine to keep cards in hand and go ahead and use the Rebecca blocker, and then we'll just free block this next one. And from here, we can start pressuring their face. So I think that's probably what we should start doing. What we are likely to do here, depending on our draw, of course, swing 5, bait out their leader ability, swing 9, swing 9. What could they be stacking? The sim hasn't updated to have the ban, so if they are stacking a Quasar, I'm going to call the police. Get this thing out of here. They might have something that just like is a trigger body. They could have like a Kiku Nojo out of hand that they're trying to put into life. So we'll see what they have. But regardless, our next turn shouldn't change too much overall. We should probably start off with a Dressrosa Kingdom draw just to see what our next draw is. And then after that, we could probably play out a Rebecca, depending on our draw. They decide not to swing, which is, yeah, that's fine. Makes sense. We'll swing 5 into lead, like I said. I think what we do is we just do our attacks first, and then we make our move afterwards, because our attacks don't change based off of what we draw. Let's swing this Sabo. Depending on what they do, we might swing the other one. I don't know if I'm feeling lucky with any triggers. We haven't seen triggers come out of life yet, so I'm a little bit worried. So we know that they stacked something. So they're going to block this one, putting the Borsalino in life, or in trash rather. I don't think I'm going to swing because they did stack that top life. Let's go ahead and get the Rebecca established. We do get a Bari Bari pistol, which means that what we can do here is with the 8 Dawn we have at our disposal, we can spend 1 with the Just Watch Me event to reduce the Robin down to 5,000 power. Then we can play out this Sabo, and then bottom deck it with the Bari Bari pistol, and then draw on top of that, and then have these 2 big blockers that are going to be really difficult for them to get past. If they establish a 10 cost this turn, that's really good for them. But like I said, I have the answer this next turn as well, with the 7 cost Fire Fist into the 2 cost Fire Fist. So we are in a really good spot. We're able to answer their board pretty easily. Down comes the 10 cost. I kind of feel bad at this point because we are just like completely wrecking their board without having any kind of repercussion. You would imagine like getting rid of a Nico Robin is pretty difficult, but it really wasn't. When you find Bari Bari Pistol, that's such a good card in these matchups where you have like on KO effects. So anyway, they're going to be putting Dawn underneath their leader. It doesn't matter because they can free block it. They have a lot of cards in hand. And then at this point, we can just really tear into their life. I don't know what this trigger is going to be, but I honestly just don't care either, because we'll have the 1 cost Rebecca and then the other Sabo that we'll be able to play out. So we're in a really good spot here. They're going to swing anyway just to see if I'm awake. Yeah, I'm awake. Here's the block. One of the things that's kind of annoying about playing this in the sim is you have to always just say cancel, cancel whenever they swing. Because, I mean, you every time they swing, you know, you're given the opportunity to use your leader ability. So anyway, let's go ahead and establish what we said we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and then minus 8,000. And then we're going to go ahead and then kill this new gate and then swing 8 into lead here. They could use leader ability plus a 2k. And then we have another 7 cost plus 2 cost if they want to establish another 10 cost after that. No more Sabos, though. We don't run 5 in the deck. We're not that good. They go ahead and take that hit. I don't know what it was. Well, oh, it was a baby 5. Okay, so that's actually a pretty good trigger for them, regardless. Another 9 into 7 here. They're probably going to counter out of this one, a 2 and a 1. Or, I mean, it doesn't matter. They could counter out of probably the next one as well. They could go down to 0 and see what they get off of it. Dr. Hogback to bring out a Perona. That's pretty good. I don't really care about the Perona too much. I'm just going to go ahead and swing 9 into 7 and see if they can give me 2 and a 1. They're going to give me 3 1Ks, which is really good for us. Very telling, which means we can probably comfortably go for game this next turn. If they establish a Borsalino blocker, then we can bottom deck it. If they establish 2 of them, then we try to get one of them to block and then bottom deck the other one. And then from there, close out the game. But they have to heal this turn, and they kind of have to heal twice in order for them to really have an opportunity to really stay in the game. But it's kind of shot at this point because if they play a new gate, I can answer it and then start swinging 9s again. If they, like I said, double Borsalino, then yeah, they go up to 2. They could use their leader ability, but double Borsalino means that there are 4 cards in hand. And with all these 9k swings, it's really hard for them to continuously get out of them. And they have to draw perfectly in life as well. So we're in a pretty good spot. Double Borsalino is not an option here because they're just putting 2 underneath the Perona. I think I should just block this one. Just if they have a way to get rid of the Rebecca, then they can. And if they put me down to 0, then I also could get unblockable, I guess. They're going to go 5 with the Zeus. Kind of a desperation Hail Mary there. I think I'm just going to go ahead and give them a 2k here and then use the block on the final swing that they have with this Nami. Now, if they have the unblockable event, which we'll see in a second whenever the game is over, then that might have been a good decision. Looks like a Borsalino. And swinging 5 into lead here, we can just free block this one. And then they did forget to put the young girl ability on to the Nami. If that's the case, they probably should do that so that they get their leader ability. But I'm going to be honest, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because what we can do is just Bari Bari Pistol. They did have another new gate. Interesting to see. Yeah, just Bari Bari Pistol and then just go for game with all of the 9s that we have. Overall, pretty fair showing in the games we had today. I will say that Electrical Luna is the bane of this deck. If you do go against green, just make sure you play around Electrical Luna if you can, because obviously in the red-green Luffy matchup we had, Luna just wrecked us. And the red-green Luffy matchup where they didn't see Luna, we were at least able to come out on top in that scenario, but that card, it sucks so much because everything in this deck is 7 cost or lower, minus the 10 cost Roger. Of course, in this meta, I think this deck will do very well against a lot of yellow decks and probably most decks in general. Against purple Enel, I think you have to find the die roll and win that one and go first in order to have a winning chance. Now, obviously, we went second in the video, but I think that we got a little bit lucky that they weren't able to continuously chain the 6 cost Enels, and we were able to at least deny them of resources in the meantime, even though we were sitting at 0 for the longest time. Now, I do like the 6 cost Law, but some of the changes that I would make to the deck or potentially try out, or I have tried out rather, are the 6 cost 8,000 power Boa Hancock. I think this is a really strong addition to the deck, and I actually might just replace the 6 cost Law over time with this card. There's a couple reasons here. One, it allows you to freeze an opponent's character from swinging other than a Monkey D Luffy, and in scenarios where there is a Monkey D Luffy, like against yellow Luffy, you're probably losing that matchup anyway, so I don't know if this is necessarily going to help that. But what's important here is this is a really good card for like purple Enel, because of the fact that it also bottom decks a 1 cost character. So purple Enel has a bunch of 1 cost characters, and then they have the really big tall 6 cost character. So you can freeze the tall 6 cost character from swinging and then bottom deck a 1 cost in the same turn. So really nice there. 8,000 power is a great stat line as well. Being able to punch into any leader effectively is really nice. Another card I'm considering is the 4 cost Hack. It's a Dawn ×1 when attacking. Look at the 3 cards from the top of your deck and reveal up to 1 Rev Army type card and add it to your hand. Then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. So just another way to search out either events or your 7 cost Sabo. And on top of that, you can actually cheat this out with the 4 cost event. So I think it's a pretty nice card to consider. Now, deck space is a little tight, so we'll have to make some adjustments in order to get this in here, but I do really like this card. An additional way to add consistency to the deck is also the 1 cost 2,000 power Bello Betty. It's an on-play look at the top 5 cards of your deck and then reveal up to 1 Rev Army type card other than Bello Betty and add it to your hand, and place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. This is also another way to answer Enel because of the fact that this is a great way to find a piece and then also have something to swing into the little small characters the following turn. So I would consider this. I'm actually trying to find room for this right now, but we'll see how the deck progresses over time. And then finally, this is probably more of a troll pick overall, but I am considering this card at like maybe a 2 of in the deck. The 10 cost Newgate. It's just a strong card in general. Obviously, being able to cheat it out in ace a turn early is why this card is so good. But even then, if you can get a 7 cost Sabo the previous turn and then play this the next turn, having a huge 10 cost 12,000 power blocker that a lot of people are not going to be able to remove usually will win you the game thereafter. So I do want to consider this. I want to test this card out a little bit more. Obviously, it's a brick in hand, but being able to filter your hand a little bit more, have a huge blocker, power up your leader, and then also whatever else is already on the field. I am heavily considering this. I know, though, it's one that probably will never see the light of day, but we'll test it behind the scenes and see how it does. I feel like I'm missing a few more cards to talk about, but overall, those are the ones that came to mind immediately. Overall, though, I do really like this deck, and this is the deck that I will be piloting for the rest of OP15, regardless of whatever happens to the meta if we find that we have more bans coming our way outside of the ones we've already gotten. But I do really like Lucy overall. It feels like a good combination of OP03 Ace, which I played, and then OP04 Rebecca, and the control aspect of this, as I mentioned in the intro. So really, really enjoy this leader. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about Lucy. Are you excited to pilot him just as much as I am? And if you are, what spicy additions have you added to the deck? Let me know about those in the comments as well. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.